Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Accommodation Show. This week, a good friend of the show is coming back. Not for the first time, not for the second time, but for the third time. We have the incredible Brooke Pfautz on the show. Welcome to the show.
Bart, what's going on, man? Glad to be back. It's actually been 3 shows. I didn't even realize that.
It has been 3. The first one was about the book. The second one was when you guys launched Comparent, and then we're back here. So yeah, 3 times. But in that time, we've met a bunch of times at different events across the world, which has been terrific. We've shared hugs, kisses, beers, food, good times, chat. So it's been, I don't know, like how incredible, right? We don't really know each other, but we've managed to share so much together.
We did, yeah. I think we had a great time at down in Orlando last year at VRMA and had a blast. And looking forward to seeing you this year in Phoenix.
Yeah, I can't wait to get back. Especially after the Boise conference, Can Stays, and now this one. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Now, Brooke, how are things going? How's business? How's life? And I'll ask you one further one. How do you feel the vacation rental or short-term rental market is doing right now?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm doing great. Family's great. Business is hitting on all cylinders. We just had a record month here at Vintory, and yeah, team is really doing well. We've got such a solid team, talent density, as I like to call it, and yeah, hitting on all cylinders. But the industry itself, it's been a little soft from what I hear. Talking to partners out there, they're a little bit down this year versus previous years. But look, this is a strong, resilient industry. It'll always be here. It'll always continue to grow over time. We obviously had just probably a little bit of a blip here, obviously, during the COVID boom. But I think overall, the industry is still strong and plugging away. And, we're helping lots of partners with their inventory growth efforts. And, we're looking forward to the next challenge here with Comparent as well.
On that, do you have access to data on attrition of properties? And I know that you're a very data-driven person, that you're constantly posting on LinkedIn and on all the socials, and I actually learned so much from you. Attrition, I think, is higher than it's ever been, but also it's kind of like a lot of businesses or property management businesses seem to have just leveled off as they're dropping properties and bringing ones back on. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't have any empirical data really to support it. Obviously, key data and those kind of companies probably have better real data, directly from the source. We are seeing churn tick up a little bit. I think some people are, maybe not as happy with some of the numbers that they were getting. So maybe they're going to the long term. Maybe they're just they're not happy with the results, so they're shifting management companies and going from one management company to the next. But it's not a huge number. Again, we see traditionally the industry churn is about that 10%. Where companies are kind of switching hands, or property management companies are churning about 10% of their inventory in a given year, and that's just really anecdotal. That's not necessarily any kind of direct source data like PDAP has. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And I'll tell you something which is interesting as well is that. So half of our business is in the US, half of the business is over here in Australia. And we find that it's interesting to watch what's happening in the summer season in the US as we've got our winter season. Because when we have our winter season over here, it's even more difficult to understand what the market's doing. Because you can compare year on year, of course, but your overall volumes are so much lower. So then it's harder to actually spot and to say, okay, cool, this is what we're going to predict is going to happen next summer. Whilst we can look at the US, or we can look at other territories that have summer, or the UK, and go, okay, they're soft by 20%, or they're the main thing that's happening. I think ADRs are down around about 30%, but occupancy is still pretty strong. So kind of using that data to then plan ahead with our pricing over here, we can kind of model ourselves on that territory, and then conversely, you guys could probably look at our winter and go, oh, things are a bit ugly as well, so we're going to have to adjust our pricing.
It's like early indicators, right? It's like looking at the weather and the out in the west to see what's going to happen, to you here shortly, or it's like watching the financial markets and seeing what's happening in Japan. overnight, and then find out, that the market is going to crash in the morning because Japanese markets crashed or something like that.
Fascinating. Yeah. Yeah. The globalization of STR markets. All right. Amazing. Look, we've got you on the show today because you hit me up and you said, "Hey, Bart, I want to come back on. I want to talk about a new product that we're releasing, and we think that'll be really valuable for marketing for everyone to know about." Now, on the show, I'm not a huge fan of just talking about products and stuff like that. What I am a fan of is helping people out and helping accommodation owners, accommodation managers, hotels, STRs, everyone with their journeys. So I had a look at what you've brought up. I don't want to spill the beans on it, but I've had a look at it, and I think people are going to be really excited about some of the opportunities that they will find with this new product and tool. So I'm going to hand it over to you and give us a little bit of an intro as to what you've built and why you've built it.
Yeah, well, we've talked about Comparent before. So Comparent is again the largest directory of professional short-term vacation rental managers in the world. And one of the reasons I created Comparent from the beginning was to provide transparency for individual homeowners. And the
Sure.
idea was, if I'm an individual homeowner and I bought a property that I wanted to rent out on a short-term basis, there was never a website that allowed me to shop and compare for that professional management. And I wanted to provide that transparency, and that transparency through reviews. So we compile all the reviews from VRBO, Google, Airbnb, and then we actually are collecting homeowner reviews as well. And then we're also compiling all the metrics as well. So this would be your ADR, your occupancy, and a whole bunch of other information like properties managed by bedroom, by property type, and things like that. So it makes it just a one-stop shop if you're that homeowner to look at all the management companies in your market and see who's the best company, based on unbiased information that is taken directly from those sources. So this is not me coming up here and saying this is the best company. This is actually taking real data from other sources. We're just compiling it, and I like to say we're like a spotlight in a dark alley. We're just shining that light and providing the transparency that these homeowners need. And from there, what we did is we went one step further, and we always knew we were going to create some kind of a badging and award system. And we created the Comparent Market Leaders. And this is where we took all the information, all those reviews, all the profiles, took everything we could, and we said, who are the best companies? And we have, over 5,500 companies listed on Comparent right now, and it can be anywhere internationally. Now, the majority of our companies are located in the U.S., but that's just because obviously Vintory has a strong presence in the
Mm.
U.S., but it's 100% an international website. And what we did is we took the top companies based on those reviews, based on the complete profile being filled out, and we came up with really what we call like the top 1% of all professional vacation rental managers. And this list comprises over 40 companies and a lot of great data. And we just wanted to highlight these companies and show them off, and make it really easy for homeowners to shop and compare for vacation rental managers.
Yeah. It's such an interesting one because I think the idea of comparing I've always liked. I think when we were talking about it last time, there's another platform called Rate My Agent, which
Mhm.
is expanding rapidly in the States, and that's all about rating real estate agents. And this is a similar type of concept where you guys are attacking it from a bit of a different angle because with real estate agents, you don't get really ratings on a transaction of buying a home or selling a home or renting a property. So they had to create that sort of platform of the review system for agents and for buyers and for renters. Now, with this, there's a lot more readily available data which you can pull on and then make some assumptions on. So the positive reviews or the like you said the ADR or occupancy, and we can start to figure out which companies are performing the best based on their results overall in the market. You can get that feedback, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because a lot of our listeners are going to say, well, okay, cool, I'm not a homeowner. Why do I care? And apart from jumping on the platform and marketing themselves, which is obvious, right? There's the other huge benefit. And for me, the biggest benefit is I wish that there was a tool like this available 5 years ago when I started iBooked Online, because I would love to know who those top companies are. And the reason why I want to know who the top companies are is because if I want to learn the best way to do things, I can approach those companies. I can look at their website. I can see what they're doing, and then take inspiration from that to then implement it in my business. And it goes all the way from the website all the way through to the guest experience, through to the technology that they're using. Just the whole gamut you can start to analyze and focus on. So if you're getting started in the industry, and if you want to find a blueprint, a list like this is invaluable.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, think about it, right? You have, again, the top 1% of all companies based on reviews and everything else. Go to comparent.com and go to the market leader page and just look at those companies. See how they're like
Mm.
exactly what you just said. Go to their website, see how they present themselves, see how, like, maybe how they interact, test them out, reach out to them, see how that. And here's kind of a nice little side benefit. We're actually finding many of our partners, especially these market leaders, they're actually getting reservations on it, even though that is not the intent. The intent is to be really for homeowners to find professional managers. But we're seeing tons of people actually getting reservations from it because, people will reach out to me, or in general, they'll ask like, hey, I want to rent a property in Marco Island, or I want to rent a property in Orlando. Who should I rent from? And they're going to compare it because they actually are getting to see who the best property managers are. Because obviously they got great high review scores across the board, then they're going there and they're booking, directly, and again, that's the key. They're booking directly through those sources, directly on their websites.
How good is that? So, so we've got 5,500. Did you say on the platform at the moment?
Yep.
And obviously that's going to keep growing and that sort of thing. And look, I'm a very data driven person, so having access to this vast amount of data, and it's free, right? So you can jump on at the moment. I believe
Yeah.
it's
So
free.
it's 100% free. We will always have the ability to claim your profile for free, gather homeowner reviews for free. Eventually, we'll figure out how to monetize this thing. But look, marketplaces take a while. The goal is to get all the management companies on there, as many management companies as possible, at least 5 to 6 in every major market. And then once we have that, which we're at that point now it's all about driving homeowner traffic. And remember, with Vintory, like, this is what we do, right? We drive homeowner traffic, but we've been doing it for close to 6 years. We've helped over 800 companies with their inventory growth efforts. So what we're doing is all those lessons we've learned from building up inventory and growing inventory for individual management companies, we're taking all that information, taking all those learnings, and we're driving this traffic to one website. You think about it, we have one of the best digital marketing teams out there. We're driving all this traffic directly to this site because it's a much more efficient process. Rather than this, what I call this hand-to-hand combat of, you know, working through all the marketing campaigns for 800 individual companies and driving it back directly to their page, it's so much more efficient to drive all this traffic to Comparent, and from there, let the user, in this case the homeowners, shop and compare for those vacation rental managers based on the reviews and based on their metrics. And as I said earlier before we came on the show here, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people that are not happy with me, people that have really bad reviews, have really bad scores, who are probably going to be shifted and sorted down to the bottom. But I'm okay with that because really the goal here is to elevate the entire industry, make everybody better, and really match the right right homeowner with the right property manager. It's kind of like Match.com directly for for homeowners and vacation rental managers.
Yeah. So tell me, what are your findings on the top companies? What do they have in common?
Oh my gosh. Well, they have a relentless passion for hospitality. They have a relentless passion for just providing a great guest experience. And they really do care. They care about reviews. They make a conscious effort to really try to get those, high reviews on all platforms. And they're pushing their guests directly to leave reviews. And they just, they execute hospitality at a nice level. And it's not about building something for the quick win and the quick profits. They're building more long term companies based on building out that value over a long term. They're thinking of things through kind of a decade lens as opposed to a quarter by quarter lens.
Yeah.
Is a lot of
And
what I've seen.
yeah, and are you guys interviewing the top companies to sort of get more data and more insights from them?
Yeah, so obviously every one of these companies has filled out a complete profile. One of the questions we ask, it's we actually have gone out and we've compiled a list of the top 10 FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions that every homeowner should ask, but very often they don't know what to ask. And
Mm.
this is really compiled over my 16 years of being in the industry, really understanding what are those questions. Because I remember when I was, had my management company, Vantage Resort Realty, homeowners would walk in and they didn't know what questions to ask. So what would they always ask? What's your commission? And then it just became a race to the bottom. So I've been compiling for the last 16 years the top 10 questions that they all should ask. So every single person, to be eligible to win, you have to have these completely filled out. And it's interesting learning out all this information. But this is great content, right? This is,
Mm.
think about all that content that's out there. These all these different companies, and they've all answered those questions. But it allows you as a homeowner to really shop and compare and look across the board at how they handle things. How do they handle guest damage? How do they handle disputes? What is their commission? What are you doing? Do you like how big is your team? What do you do for philanthropy and in the community? Like all
Mm.
these different questions that might be important to you, and certain questions may not be important to you. Some others may. But again, I don't think there's the perfect company in every market. I think it's more, again, going back to the match.com analogy, there's the right management company or the right homeowner for the right management company and vice versa. And I think if we can provide transparency, we can provide as much information as possible into traditionally what's been a very untransparent, marketplace. I think it's a win for everybody. And like I said, eventually when we drive enough traffic and we're providing a high ROI for our management companies, we'll eventually figure out how to monetize it and charge for it. But for now, it's all free on both sides, all parties. And again, we will always 100% forever have the ability to claim your profile and get homeowner reviews for free and highlight
Always
the company.
always a salesman, Brooke. We get it. It's free. It's free.
I mean, we
We
got to
got
win.
it.
I mean, here's the thing: if I'm going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars driving traffic to this site, it makes sense to get a listing on there. Get your profile filled out. You got nothing to lose. It's a billboard. If anything, you'll get the billboard effect, which I'm sure you know all about. Where people will go directly to your site, or you can click directly through there.
Mm.
There's no reason why. Look, we're going to be sending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of homeowners to this website. You might as well at least have your profile updated, right?
Yeah. 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 Good. Okay. So with the property, so we've got our list of the top 50 ones, so that we can go analyze them, look at them, learn from them, connect with them, see what they're doing in terms of sort of standing out in the marketplace. Do you have any ambitions to, with those awards, to really get that data back to everybody so that everyone can look at it and really understand where they have opportunities for improvement?
Yeah, that's definitely on the roadmap. What we want to do is, really start surveying, and we do have a lot of data based on these companies. What their average, VRBO rating is, what their ADRs are, average occupancy. We have some very metric-based data, but what we really want to start doing is bringing these market leaders in, interviewing them, surveying them, and just really finding out what makes them so special. Right?
Mm.
Why are they the Michelin star, the JD Power and Associates equivalent of the best companies out there, and actually doing this? And who knows? Maybe there's another book on the horizon where we're taking all this information and kind of consolidating it out there. We will see.
Yeah, look, I think that's a great idea, and I think from a learning perspective, you pick up so much from looking at the people that are doing things really well and doing it the best, and having tools like this is, I think, invaluable for the industry as a whole, and I think it also legitimizes things as well, saying, hey, these are the top performers, this is what they're doing. In these local markets, so I think it's something as a company it's really worth striving for, and it's done based on data, which is kind of cool as well.
Yeah, this
Um,
is not on that point. This is not a voting contest. I hate the awards that are all based on pure, just like they hacked it and they sent the link out on their Instagram feed and said, "Hey, please vote for me." It's a popularity contest. These awards are 100% metric based, and
yeah,
that's the only way it should be. So you
yeah,
can't really finagle this one. Yeah, the only way you can finagle is by getting really good reviews from your homeowners and also from your guests.
Yeah, amazing. I think you mentioned the fact that you're intending to run the awards on a regular basis, so maybe once a month. How would things change for a property management company on a monthly basis? And
Yeah,
how
it's
would you,
actually gonna be
how would you
yeah, it's
find a
gonna
new
be
list every month?
yeah, it's gonna be a quarterly basis. So every quarter we're gonna be updating these awards. We obviously have the market leader awards. We are gonna eventually have additional awards. So we'll do maybe it's like fastest growing, or maybe you kind of actually benchmark them by size, like startups and mid-sized companies and enterprise companies and things like that. And we'll have different types of awards based on different categories. But for now, we're just going to stick with market leaders. We have a pretty strict guideline, and it's as far as what they need to be eligible. It's all the and again, one of our core values is transparency. So if you actually go to the Comparent website, you can see how we score them. It's very transparent. Everyone knows, and everyone's being held to the same standards. There's no preferential treatment. You don't have to be a Vintory customer. You don't have to be my friend. Anybody can win as long as your metrics make you eligible. And again, it's all the requirements are listed on the website.
Yeah, amazing. So cool product, great ideas. I think it's great for the industry. I think it's interesting that you mentioned the monetization for a couple of times, and I just want to draw people's attention to this. And I get that pushback a lot, saying, "What happens when you get big and then you charge us lots of money for things?" The real important thing when companies charge you money, they have to show that they're providing the value for whatever they're charging for, because otherwise you will just leave and you won't pay for it. So when Brooke talks about monetizing it, sure, Brooke needs to be able to pay for his investment in his team, but for him to be able to justify, for you to pay that money, he has to justify the value in the product that he's offering.
Mhm.
So you might get everything for free for now, but even if you have to pay in the future, if it's not worth its while, then you won't pay for it. So don't ever panic on that monetization part, and that companies have to work in a certain way for it to make sense for you personally. So I'm sure that you guys will figure out a way. And I think that definitely will work for your property managers in the future. Now, I would be remiss not to ask, we've got the States, which is really big. How are you guys, apart from coming on shows like this, what are we going to do in terms of different territories to grow them for you guys to make sure that you're capturing enough leads and data in Australia, in Japan, in Bali, in London and Barcelona and the rest of the world?
Yeah, no, I mean that's the beauty of this website. It's international, 100%. I think we're already in over 20 different countries, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, with Vintory's large presence in the U.S., we have a large database. We were able to kind of preload a lot of companies in there to kind of prime the proverbial
Mm,
pump. But we do have a lot of companies internationally already, and that's the beauty. Again, you can go on to comparent.com and create your profile in less than 5 minutes. It doesn't matter where you are. And again, I actually think because data is so challenging to get, and when I'm saying data, I mean target data, like those homeowner data is so challenging to get outside of the US.
mm.
I think Comparent is actually much, much more valuable for an international person because, again, we're going to be driving that
Sure.
traffic to this website, and we can do that through SEO. We can do that through lots of different emails, and we do that through lots of other different sources. And again, when they're looking for it and they see your company listed there, then and you're especially if you're the only one listed in that market, obviously you're going to get some calls for that. And go back to what you mentioned earlier about the ROI, 100%. Like this has to be, and it will be at least like a 10x ROI for you. So if you're not investing $1 and getting $10 out of it, then I don't expect you to invest a penny into this.
Mm.
But I just know how valuable, and we've talked about this before, I'm sure, on the previous podcast, how valuable new inventory is. It's the greatest lever you can pull to have the maximum impact to grow your top line
Sure.
revenues, your bottom line profits, and even build net worth. So I'm very confident people will continue to do it. And like you said, that's the beauty of capitalism. People will stop with their dollars and their pocketbooks if they're not getting a positive ROI from it.
Indeed. Look, Brooke, it's a real pleasure to have you on the show once again. I'm very confident we'll do it again in the future. I would love to see Comparent. grow, succeed, and for it to have a positive journey. I'm sure that it will. And of course, you always have my support, but the community support in the projects that you're taking on. So, folks, if you are tuned in, then make sure that you check it out. The links will be in the show notes. If not, comparent.com. You can go there, and at the top, there's a button that says Marketplace, and you can get in that way. Also, give Brooke a follow, jump on LinkedIn, and click on his links and his profile. Before we close off the show, I also just want to say if you are tuned in on the YouTube, make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you're tuned in on the podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content that we're putting out, please leave us a review. The reviews do make a huge difference and they boost us up the ranking, and I would really appreciate it. Brooke, are there any final thoughts or tips for the day?
Oh my gosh. Grow your inventory. It's the greatest impact that you can do to, like I said, to increase your top line revenues and your bottom line profits. It's 4 to 6 times the impact of anything else you can do. So, yeah, grow your inventory, especially the right properties.
I love it. Thank you so much, Brooke. It was great to see you. Great to talk to you. Have a good evening, and I'm sure that we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Bart.